Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA Veteran Kajan Johnson. Kajan, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Kajan, it's been a while since we've seen you fighting. It's been over a year, well over a year. October of 2011 was the last time we saw you in action. What's been going on? What have you been up to?
I've just been training my ass off, man. That's all I do. Train and teach and train and teach and train and teach. That's my life. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, well, fortunately it's great, but unfortunately I would like to have some fighting in there sometimes, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, what about your music career? Because I know you were trying to make a mixtape or something. What happened with that?
I was going to do it, but what happened is it just splits my focus a little bit too much. Like, I still do it as a hobby. Mm-hmm. I've put out a couple tracks here and there. I've got a couple that I'm sitting on that I just haven't released yet because I'm waiting for a fight. I might walk out to them or something and release them around that fight. But it's just more of a hobby, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to multitask too much. I want to achieve my goals in MMA, and in order to do that, I got to kind of buckle down and put in the work and do what I got to do to be the best in the world.
Oh, I see. So maybe this music thing, possibly could happen after your career? Is that what you're kind of thinking?
It's possible. Like, if the demand is there, then, like, music is something that I love, but it's also something that's very, very personal to me. I don't like to make songs that I'm making for other people, like, to a certain genre or whatever. I want to make music that I want to make. So if the demand is there, then I would consider pursuing it, but the way that hip-hop is nowadays, I don't really see my music selling all that much. I'm a little, I don't know, maybe I'm too smart. I don't know, maybe I'm just too conscious. I don't know, I don't want to rap about cash money, cars, and hoes. That's pretty much what it is. And that's what you got to do to sell records right now, so kind of about that.
Yeah. Well, Kajan, your number one problem these past couple years has been the injuries. You've had some great performances, some great fights, and then you're injured, and then you come back, you do a fight, you do great, then you get injured. It's been a back and forth struggle with these injuries. What exactly have been these injuries? Give us a breakdown of the injuries that you have suffered that have prevented you from competing.
Well, over the last couple of years, it's been what happened after my fight with Ryan Healy was I was supposed to fight. Oh, I don't even remember anymore. Some big name guy. Anyways, I was wrestling and I got sprawled out really hard, and I didn't do what it took to recover the injury, and I just kind of was like, oh well, it's okay. It's just a little tweak. I'll just keep training, and I ended up tearing my shoulder. So I was off for like 5 months where I couldn't even use my arm at all. I couldn't jab. I couldn't hook. I couldn't do anything. So it was like doing technique with one arm and doing what I could, running. But that set me back for a bit. And then I geared up and I started training hard again. And I got another fight. I got a fight with Richie Whitson, and I beat him fairly easily. Actually, it was one of my best performances to date. And then I come back and I start training for another big fight, and I ended up breaking my orbital in training. I blew out my orbital floor. So this is like a lot of people break orbitals here and there. A lot of them. Some are severe, some are less severe. Some people crack them. Sometimes it's tripod fracture. In 2005, I actually got a tripod fracture, which is a break in 3 places. But this one was actually worse than the tripod fracture because it broke the entire floor of my orbital. The bottom of my eye socket broke right off. Like they took it right out. So I ended up getting plates and stuff like that, and and now I'm back. I'm training. I've been training hard. I've been sparring. I can do everything now. I have been able to for months and months, and I've been looking for a fight, but there's nothing really on the horizon. Like we've got a couple irons and some fires, but there's nothing that's materialized. I'm having trouble finding the right person to fight me. They've had a couple of yeses, but my coach Faraz is a really smart guy. He doesn't want me to just go out and just fight anybody. He wants me to take the right fight for my comeback fight, which is not one with a power puncher, as I'm coming off an orbital fracture. And unfortunately, the only guys that are saying yes are power punchers. So I'm trying to fight some guy that's like a wrestler, jits guy, or even like a technical striker that doesn't have like 10 knockouts on his record. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. I'm sure the right fight will materialize at the right time. It's hard to be patient sometimes. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's definitely good to hear that you're feeling better. I know you were having some problems with double vision after your surgery for the orbital bone. Did you get that corrected?
Yeah, my eye's good now. I can do everything I need to be doing, so it's not a big deal.
Did you have to have surgery for that, or did it just naturally come back?
They wanted me to actually go and do more surgery. I got 2 surgeries done on the orbital. Like, one, they put in this metal plate, and then they're like, oh, well, you have double vision because the metal plate is scarred to your eye and it's inhibiting the movement. So they went in, they took out the metal plate, and then they put in a plastic plate. And because of that, then I had to skip out on the Ultimate Fighter because I actually got booked for the Ultimate Fighter. Mm-hmm. And season 16, and I had to say no when they called me because I had surgery booked. Unfortunately, that surgery did very little, and I do exercises all the time now to make sure I keep my field of vision as big as possible. It's not 100%. I don't know if it ever will be 100%, but there's actually a number of fighters a number of fighters in my gym that fight with double vision and have their entire careers. So I've learned to deal with it, and I'll be quick to fight whenever I'm actually able to fight.
Kajan, in this sport, if you don't fight, you don't get paid. So how have you been able to support yourself during this time off? Is it just through, teaching at the gym?
Yeah. So I've been teaching for like most of my career anyways. I started teaching like 2 years in or so. So I continued that, and I've got enough clients to sustain, to be able to pay my rent and buy my food and pay my bills. But that's pretty much it. Like, I live a very humble life. I live about maybe 40, 50 feet from the gym, maybe 100 feet from the gym. And I've got a little apartment, and I make my own food. I don't get to eat out all that much. You can't spend money on partying and fancy clothes and stuff like that. But I get to train at the best gym in the world, and I get to do what I love to do as work, which is great. And I don't have a boss. I don't have somebody that's breathing down my neck telling me what to do. I'm allowed to do what I need to do. So I'm so happy with the way my life is right now. But it would be nice to get a fight, be able to stack a little bit of cash, and start doing things so I can invest in my future a little bit more, and maybe start buying houses and stuff like that. Because that'd be very nice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you mind having this sort of humble lifestyle? Would you be living this sort of low key lifestyle if you were getting fights and you were getting paid, or is this just something that you've had to adapt to?
My lifestyle doesn't change all that much. Mm-hmm. It's just I don't have to worry about money. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's like I'm stressing because a bunch of my clients cancel or they're on vacation for half a month. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make rent. I don't know. But like all money really does for you is just give you freedom from worrying about money. Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah, maybe I'd have some nicer clothes, maybe I'd have a vehicle or something, but really my lifestyle doesn't change that much. I'd still be training every day. I'd still be teaching privates at the gym. I'd be able to put a little bit more into things like my clothing line and stuff like that. But it is what it is, and all good things will come in time, I'm sure. So as long as I keep the faith and don't freak out, everything will be fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Kajan, it seems like from what you've been saying, the money issue from not fighting, the part about not getting paid, that doesn't really seem like it's the biggest problem here. What is the worst part about not being able to fight? Is it just really not building yourself up towards anything? You're really not working towards a title, and you're not really getting to show what your improvements are? Or is it just as simple as you want to fight? You're not getting fights, and that's what you want to do. What's the big problem here with not being active?
Well, yeah, like, in this industry, it's not like I'm a banker or a business owner or something like that, where I can be able to do this till I'm dead or an actor or something, you know what I mean? Fighters do have a peak, and fortunately for me, I'm a bit of a late bloomer. Like, I didn't really go through puberty, like, with all my friends. I was a little bit late. I believe that my peak is going to be a little bit late. So it's not as big of a deal to me. I'm not freaking out like a lot of people will start peaking when they're 26. I think I'm not going to really start peaking until like I'm about 30. From the years of like 30 to 34 is probably going to be my peak. I'm coming up to that now though, so I would like to have my best years in the UFC. And in order to get to the UFC, I need to get fights, and I'm not that far away. I know that I'm not that far away from the UFC. I'm probably about 2 or 3 wins, depending on opponents and stuff like that, and how the industry is going and how full the UFC is. But I know I'm really close, and I just need to get in there so I can achieve my goals. Because I have a lot of other things I would like to do with my life as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like open gyms and maybe get into the acting world or the stunt world or something like that. So I have a lot of other things that I would like to do as well, but I'm not going to do those until I can accomplish this original goal that I've set of being a champion. So the biggest thing for me is just time ticking. And I know that time's ticking, and I would like to be able to beat the clock, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, what organizations have you been in talks with? Have they just been, regional shows in Canada? Have they been some shows in the United States?
We've been talking to pretty much everybody that I can think of, really.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in talks heavily with the AFC. They've been actively trying to get me to fight pretty much every guy on their roster, most of which have turned me down. I've been in talks with smaller shows in BC, as well as bigger shows in the States and stuff like World Series of Fighting, CFA. Recently, we've put out some feelers to Super Fight League over there. We haven't heard back from them yet. Also over here, MMA Challenge, pretty much every show that in Canada or in the States that is actually feasible. Like, the problem with fighting in the States is if they're flying somebody from Canada, if they want like a main event fight, which I would have no problem doing second fight in. Like, once I get one out of the way and I get my feet wet a little bit, I'll go back to just being who I was and wanting to fight the best guys possible, because I think that's the fastest way to do that to. But unfortunately, I can't do that on the first fight because I've had a big layoff, I've had a big injury. So Roger's smart. He wants me to make sure I get a tune-up fight first, or at least not a fight with somebody that's like world class, just on the cusp of UFC, or maybe just coming out of the UFC. So, it's just I'm in a really difficult place with we're being picky. Everybody else is being picky because it's so hard to get to the UFC. Everybody's trying to really protect their records. The industry is changing in that there's less shows available. Like, shows are tanking every single day. Most shows won't even consider me because they think that I'm going to cost too much money. Although, like, on the first show, like, if I'm not fighting a main event fight, or I'm not expecting to get paid like a main event, you know what I mean? Right now, like, I just need a fight. I don't care really about purse. I don't care about sponsorship. It's just a means for me to get into the UFC. That's all I care about, is getting into the UFC. So.
Last month, I think it was, you were at an AFC show, and you were throwing out challenges and insults, mainly towards Mitch Clark and Steve Beaumont. Was this because, you weren't impressed by what they were doing? Is this because you don't like those guys, or is this just because you need a fight, and the quickest way to get a fight is,
I was really frustrated, though. That's all it was. Like, I was actually friends with Steve Beaumont. He stayed at the dorms with me for probably like a month. I would like to apologize to all those guys, actually, because a lot of the things that I said were kind of nasty and hurtful, and I really don't mean them. I was just in a really, really bad place. I was extremely frustrated, and I was doubtful that this thing would ever move forward. I wasn't accepting where I was at. I wasn't accepting the life that I have. I was just focusing on what I don't have. So I was yelling at everybody on Twitter. I was calling out everybody. I was talking shit about them. And a lot of these guys have turned down fights with me, and then I go and I see them fighting, and it's like, well, why should you turn down a fight with me? And like, why are you guys trying to stop my life? And it's not that they're trying to stop my life, they're just trying to further theirs. I understand they got their own careers to look forward to, but it's hard for me because I grew up in a different time. Like, this current time of mixed martial arts is kind of foreign to me. I don't really like it all that much. Like, I do, but I don't. Because everybody's so protective of their records. When I was growing up, I would fight literally anybody. I would have fought Satan. I fought Josh Thompson on 4 days' notice when I hadn't even been training. I hadn't trained in like a month, and I went in on 4 days' notice and fought this guy. And actually did pretty good, but they going to be? They're like, oh, I need to protect my record so I can get to UFC so I can be the champion. When really, like, I don't think you're quite the caliber. And I'm not naming any names. I'm not talking about any of the guys that you have just previously mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sometimes I think people are a little delusional and they shouldn't be really protecting their record. They should just go out and fight and have fun, because that's what this game was about when I started. It was about having fun and going out and scrapping because you like to scrap. Not about going out and trying to take down your guy and lay on him, and then when the ref stands you up, run away and throw little leg kicks, and then take him down and lay on him again and hope to get a W on a decision. Nobody did that. It was all, everybody went out and would bang it out, and everybody would have fun, and then all go out for drinks after. Nobody really got paid, and we'd all get like a free shirt or something like that. It was great. I loved that time. It was, to me, that was the best time in MMA, even though at the point it was called NHB probably back then. But yeah, it's just, I'm getting frustrated. I got really, really frustrated with the way the game was going, and with the way nobody would fight me. And so I thought that maybe if I start calling out people, then they'll get pissed off and they'll fight me, or maybe they won't. I was thinking maybe I'm just too nice to everybody. Everybody thinks I'm their friend, and that's their excuse. They don't want to fight me, so maybe I have too many friends, and I need to make some enemies. Although I don't think that's sound thinking. I wasn't really right in the head at that point. I was kind of going crazy. So I'm back to my normal self. So I'm doing my thing, and when a fight comes, the fight will come. And until then, I'll just continue to improve my skills. And when I do get a fight, I'm just going to be that much better.
What happened with MFC? Because I've heard a lot of rumors about why you're no longer with that organization. I've heard they released you because you were trying to pick opponents. I heard they released you because you were going to try out for the Ultimate Fighter. I heard they released you because of your injuries. I heard just a bunch of different stories. What exactly is the real reason why you're not with MFC?
Okay, so just to set the record straight, the real reason I'm not with MFC is Mark released me so that I could go and try out for the Ultimate Fighter, not because I was going to try out for the Ultimate Fighter. He released me out of his contract with, like, no ill will, like, send me on my way, like, please go and achieve your destiny type thing. He was a really good guy about it, and I really appreciate what he did. In order for me to sign back with the MFC, he would want me to put in he wouldn't allow me to put in a UFC release clause, which I had in my contract at the time, which nobody else in the organization had. So I would have to be locked in for 4 fights before I can go to do whatever I need to do. So if UFC took me, I would have had to say no. And I don't know if anybody else knows, but you don't really say no to UFC when they call you, because they probably won't ask you again for like 5 years. So I can't do that. I can't lock myself into a 4-fight world exclusive contract. I need to fight. I'll lock myself into a 4-fight deal as long as there's a release clause for UFC. I don't want a release clause for anybody else. I'll be world exclusive to whatever organization, providing they'll keep me busy. As long as if UFC calls me, I can leave. Because if UFC calls, I need to leave. I'm not going to wait around until I'm 35 and try to get in. You know what I mean?
You're now training at TriStar. How long ago did you make the move? I know you were out in Vancouver. How long ago did you make the move from Vancouver to Montreal?
I moved out here November 1st, like pretty much a month after my last fight. I moved out here. And I've been here ever since. I went to BC for a week here, a week there. I think I've left here twice. I've been out of TriStar for a total of 3 weeks since I've been here. And yeah, man, I'm staying in the trenches. Train every day. I just finished training, like I just walked off the mat, as you called, actually. I'm in the gym right now. I'm always training, bro. That's all I do.
Now,
train and teach.
Talk about the experience that you get by training at TriStar. Obviously, they have a lot of great fighters. George St. Pierre, Rory McDonald, they obviously have a lot of great welterweights. They also have a lot of great lightweights, the weight class that you fight in. Talk about the experience you get from training at TriStar.
It's just a different level. Like, I've trained at a lot of gyms around the country, a couple in the States, but I haven't been to a gym that has the structure that we have, that has the attention to detail that we have, and that has the sparring partners and the approach that Faraz takes to MMA. He's a very, very philosophical, analytical coach, And technically, I don't think there's too many better than him in the game. Like, really, I don't think there's any better than him in the game technically. I think he's the best technical MMA coach in the business. And the way he breaks down MMA, the people that he brings in order to enrich the environment. Like, we've got guys like, for jiu-jitsu, we've got guys like Ryan Hall, Marilla Santana, Braulio Estima. They're coming through the building. We've got, like, the Gorge will fly in a whole bunch of guys for his camp, like Thai guys from Thailand. They'll fly in other sparring partners from the States. Like, there's always fresh bodies here. Like, if you go to a Saturday sparring, there'll be at least 2 or 3 guys that you've never seen before. So you're always getting a fresh look. It's not like you go to sparring and you're at the same gym and you're sparring the same 5 guys that you've been sparring for the last 2.5 years, and you know all their styles, you know exactly what they're going to do before they're going to do it, and you don't really improve like that. Here, there's such a diversity. Like, it's just incredible. It's really hard to explain how incredible this place is. It's amazing. It's like MMA heaven.
You've been fighting, you've been training in this sport for a very long time. When you got to TriStar, did you have that moment where you're like, I thought I knew a lot until I got here? Did you ever have that moment?
Yeah,
No.
I still have that moment.
Did you?
It's still incredible, like, how people that have been doing MMA for half the time I have, but have been training under Faraz the entire time, are at least as advanced as me, at least on the mat. Like, there's certain things you can learn in a fight that you can't learn in the gym, and it doesn't really come out until you fight. But there's a lot of guys in here that some of them are amateurs that will whoop my ass on the ground, which is like my specialty. You know what I mean? Like, the people, it's just a different level, bro. It's a different level. When I came here, I thought I was an amazing jiu-jitsu guy. I thought it was like, yeah, I'm a brown belt, I'm a Diana Fernandez, I'm amazing. I'm gonna come in here. And then there's some of the blue belts were giving me trouble. You know what I mean? Because I hadn't updated my game in so long that some of the things that I was doing were a little bit stale, and I needed fine tuning here and there. And now that I've gotten that, like, it's changed my style. Like, I'm sure when people see me fight the next time, they're gonna be like, who is this guy? Like, I don't fight the same anymore. Stand up, I don't fight the same anymore. I've got new weapons, I've got new skills, new style. Like, it's not the same person that you're gonna. Whenever I fight, whenever I do finally get a fight, hopefully it's televised so multiple people can see it. But I'm not the same guy anymore. It's different, and I think that's another reason why people don't want to fight me, is because they don't know what I'm gonna do. Because I've been off for so long, and I've been in a new place, which is the best place in the world to train, and I'm just training with killers all the time, and I've got Faraz technique and Ryan Hall technique and Murillo technique, and like, I'm working with new coaches, doing new styles. Like, it's just, people don't want none, man. They want to, maybe they're waiting for at least one fight to happen, so they'll be like, okay, now we kind of know what he's going to do, we can make a plan. Right now, nobody can plan for me because they have no idea what I'm going to do.
Just curious, why did you decide to leave Vancouver?
It was getting stale for me, bro. Like, anybody that's at any high level in Vancouver isn't, like, the most high level guy in Vancouver is Viviano Fernandez. But he trains a little bit at home. Like, when he's at home spending time with his family and stuff, out of fight camp, he'll be training at, like, Mamba MMA, at Four Directions, martial arts, maybe a couple jiu-jitsu gyms. But when it comes to fight camp time, he's not training there. He's going down to Seattle, and he's working with the guys at AMC with Vacuum and that. So there's just no world-class gym in the Lower Mainland. Like, there's a couple gyms that are starting to come up, and that are producing some good amateur fighters, and they're on their way. But the overall knowledge of the MMA game at the world-class elite level is just not there. And I needed more sparring partners. I needed some coaches that knew more than I did. Because really, I don't think, other than Viviano Fernandez, in the whole of the Lower Mainland, I don't think anybody knew more than I did at that time. So about all of MMA, and I come here and, like, I'm a baby compared to Faraz. This guy is just like a wealth of knowledge. So I just needed to be with people that knew more than me, and that could push me, and that could make me better than I already was.
one of your problems throughout your career, and we've talked about it a lot during this interview, is the injuries. And a majority of your injuries, if not all your injuries, have taken place during training. Since you've been at TriStar, how is Faraz and the guys there, how have they helped you train smarter to prevent these injuries?
Well, he makes sure that the matchups are all good. It's very, very controlled here. Before every single sparring, everybody gets together. We all get this big lecture about how you're not allowed to kick hard to the head, and everybody needs to be wearing 16-ounce gloves. Everybody needs to be wearing headgear. I've got a full face headgear now too, so I'm not risking my face anymore in training. It's not happening. And it's just more emphasis on technique and being technical, and less emphasis on be real tough and kill each other. We're gladiators. You know what I mean? So it's good. It's a much smarter, much more technical approach to MMA.
I saw a tweet that you sent out that you were going to be helping John Makdessi get ready for his next fight. He's going to be taking on Edson Barboza.
Yep.
How much better does that make you, not only training with the best guys in the world, but also mimicking the best guys in the world? How much do you pick up from, watching a guy like Edson Barboza and then going out and trying to mimic his moves and maybe even pick up a trick or two? How much better does that make you getting some of your teammates ready?
It's incentive to gain more knowledge. So I'm always loving that. I watch a lot of tape, which is something that's new, because I've never really been a big studier. I've always hated homework. So I've been trying to watch a lot more tape lately. So it's just an excuse to break a guy's style down and see what I can learn from him, and then go out and try to improve my style and do new things. Edson's got a really sick style. He's very powerful, very explosive. He's very well-rounded. And we're kind of the same height. We have similar weapons. So I'm a good matchup. As far as for John, I think my style is gonna help him a lot. I don't even have to change all that much. There's a lot that me and Edson do that's very similar. So it's gonna be very good for John, and he's improving so much lately. It's incredible. His wrestling has gotten so much better. This guy would never take me down before when I first got here, and now he's taking me down and on the regular. His head movement's improving, his jab is improving, his boxing is improving his aggression and cage control is improving. He's just becoming more of a mixed martial artist, which makes him so much more dangerous as a striker if you have to worry about his takedown. And he's got the type of body that is very good at getting under punches and getting into your legs. So I think he's going to pose Edson a lot of problems, and I think a lot of people are kind of counting him out in this fight. I've heard a couple people come up to me and be like, "Oh, that's a bad matchup." I don't think it's a bad matchup for him. I think it's a good matchup for him, and I think he's going to prevail. He's going to come out on top.
Now, you're obviously looking for a fight. You're obviously ready for a fight if you get that call. Does it really matter what weight it's at? Would you be open to fighting at 170? Is it possible that you could even go down? Is it even possible you can make featherweight? What are you looking for weight class-wise?
I think it's probably more likely that I would fight at 45 than 70. My weight is really light lately. So because I'm training so much and I'm eating really clean, my diet is really on point. I've always had a good diet in fight camp, but then outside of fight camp, I'd be binging and eating horrible things here and there. But because I haven't fought in so long, I haven't been having to restrict I haven't been I have to cut out all these carbs and I just want donuts really bad. You know what I mean? Which is what happens to fighters. So we get this weird almost eating disorder where we'll restrict for 8 weeks and then we'll fight and then we'll just go crazy and we'll eat everything in sight for a month and then we'll be okay, back on the fight grind again. I'm gonna eat healthy again. So I haven't had to do that weird cycle. So my weight has dropped down. It's leveled out. I'm probably at 170, if not under 170 right now. When I was walking around last summer, even probably at 182. You know what I mean? So I've lost a lot of weight. I don't think it'd be smart for me to fight at 170. Although if it was the right opponent, I would definitely take a fight at 170. I would consider 145, although it's a long way down, and I don't have a whole bunch of I'm more bone than muscle. You know what I mean? So it's hard to squeeze water out of a rock.
Sure.
But I would definitely take a fight at 150. If somebody from 45 wanted to meet me in the middle, I'd be down for that for sure. And I've actually suggested that to a number of organizations. I don't know if anybody's taken it yet. I doubt it, but we'll see what happens.
When you finally do make your return to the cage or the ring, whichever it may be in, what are you looking to prove, if anything, and what are you looking to showcase when you finally do make your return?
I just want to show my skills, man. I spend a lot of time, a lot of effort developing these skills, and I just want to show the world what I can do. I'm not really out here to prove anything. I just want to go and be who I am. Because when you're proving something, you're just trying to get gratification from other people, and you should know who you are and just be who you are, regardless of what people are thinking.
Kajan, I really appreciate you being so liberal with your time. I know this has been a long one. Before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, I'd just like to shout out Elite Organic Nutrition. They've been on my back for a long time, even though I'm not fighting. They still keep pumping me with their products, and I really appreciate that. They're like the best organic supplements in the game. I'd like to shout out my own company, Radich Inc. We're going to have some custom vests and stuff like that coming out this summer. Nothing huge, but we're going to do a couple of cool things, so be looking out for that. And then I'd just like to shout out all my people back in Burns Lake, Tocasco First Nation. They're dealing with some really corrupt chief and council that's really bullying them around and trying to rape their land and for commercial profits. It's really, really horrible situation back there. I'd just like to shout them out, give them a little bit of shine, and hopefully everything out there works out.
Kajan, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you in the cage or the ring real soon.